What is going on, everyone? Here, having some technical difficulties on TikTok here, so let me go back to switch this. If you are new here, I got my comments over here on the clip itself, but I do want to make sure this is all working right here first, which may just pause. I can't pause this, can I? No, of course not. It's alive. Of course not. Let's see here. Get that. Good. How do I get rid of this? Live products will only be available. Yes, remove. Remove. Is this doing it maybe? Yeah, let's try that. Okay. I think we should be good there then. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. All right, hello fans, and welcome back to the Football Tactics FC channel, where today's video we are going to be talking about the awards that are given out at the end of the season. So if you are new here, we are seeing all the awards here for the most part, asking for your thoughts because I am curious on what you think will happen at the end of this year. Now, these are my predictions as of right now. Now, granted, there's still some big changes that could happen with the transfer window. Obviously, what's up, Declan Richardson? That a lot of these players could obviously still change before the season starts. But right now, what I'm currently seeing with the entire Premier League right now, this is one thing is probably going to happen. And the reason why I do think that most of these players are going to win these awards, there's multiple things that are going on here. Hakimi might face up to 15 years in prison. I don't know what that, but Solanke, yeah, Golden Boot. I think this is a big talking point for if you do FPL, which we do make a team as well. I may do a live tomorrow night with my current league. But Solanke, I do believe, has the capability of being the top goal scorer this upcoming year. And I put 24, and I do think he can actually go a lot higher than that. I'm a Chelsea fan, and I don't feel right saying that Solanke is going to be the Golden Boot winner. But really, when you look at what he's capable of doing, I think Thomas Frank, what he did at Brentford, making the players look so amazing, how many goals they scored at Brentford. Now that he has caliber players like Solanke, James Madison, if he stays fully fit, Kudos as well, the rest of that midfield is so good that I do believe that Solanke is going to have a good time with doing this. Why do you do this? Or what? Why do you think this? I'm not sure which one. Why you think this, but this is why I think Solanke, because I think he did struggle last year. But even the fact that he did struggle, he still scored quite a few goals, and I do think that this new formation with Thomas Frank will actually benefit Solanke, along with a few of the other players. I don't know if Heung-min Son will still be at Tottenham at the beginning of this year. If he's not, I think that actually will help Solanke as well. Not to take anything or discredit Son because he's obviously a great player, but the age is finally catching up to him. He's not as quick, not as versatile as he used to be, and I think that did hinder Tottenham last season, especially in their attacking third. So this is why, again, I think if they do change a few different things, I think Solanke has the capability of clearly making 24 goals in the Premier League by itself. I think he does 30 plus this upcoming year with all competition, which again, it does not sound saying right as a Chelsea fan, but I have to again give credit to where I think it is. Versus only when young player of the he gets 25 G's and assists in the league. Yeah, I mean, Vert is the main guy I think that's going to win. Now, granted, the Young Player of the Year award is a ridiculous award sometimes because you technically, if you're under 23 when the season starts, you can still win that award. So theoretically, if Cole Palmer is putting up 21 assists, he should win this. But I think again, it's one of those things they usually give it to younger players, and especially if it's a guy like Florian Wirtz who's just coming into the Premier League and he does well, which I think he will do. I mean, I'm not going to be too surprised if he doesn't just blow the lid off of Liverpool and does phenomenal this upcoming year. But really, he should be winning this next year. I don't really know too many other players that will be up there for the most part. I'm just looking back here. Solanke only if Spurs sign a better winger. Yeah, exactly. And I do think they will sign a better winger. Again, not that I am a Tottenham fan at all, but the key ingredients there for Tottenham are there. And I do believe Thomas Frank does make this team a lot better, which again doesn't take much to where they finished last season. And I don't want to take anything away from Ang because I think he did phenomenal for the years that he was there. I mean, it was the 2 years. You really think Marmoush? I do believe Marmoush. I think he does score probably 20 goals and gets 15 assists, or is somewhere close to 20 and 20 for the most part. The man is ridiculous. And the fact that, again, I think sometimes people forget how good he was. He scored, what, 7 goals in about 14 starts last season, and he got thrown into the mix at City. He's had a full summer with Pep Guardiola. He obviously understands what needs to go on. I think he's going to be one of those guys that really is going to be really heavily reliant for City to score multiple goals, and he can clearly score a goal from anywhere. It doesn't have to be inside the box, can be 20, 30 yards out and still rocket a ball in. Holland, Isak, even Gyökeres, I mean, Gyökeres was, I'm thinking he could be right there too. I mean, when I say 24 goals, I think it's going to be a close race. I think there's going to be multiple people with 20 plus goals this upcoming season. I do think there's going to be a lot more goal scorers this year, especially with the top six for the most part. Wait, Chelsea fan thinks Chelsea going to win the, yeah, well, look, obviously I'm going to think I'm going to win the league, or we're going to win the league. I think Chelsea have a good option to win it though for the most part. But yeah, Cole Palmer, I do think, again, with how well he's been playing the last few years at Chelsea, and granted, they've now brought in more high quality players. João Pedro, I think Pedro Neto really steps into it. No Salah at all. It's absurd. Again, when you're looking at this, I think Salah is right there with these numbers, but he's just going to fall short of each one. And I do think, again, he might be right behind Marmoush in the running for Player of the Year, because I don't think he'll score 24 goals. He'll probably score 20. I don't think he's going to get 21 assists. He'll probably get like 15, give or take, though. So again, he might be at 33 by the end of the year, but still, if Marmoush puts in 35 or more, you almost have to give it to him for the most part. Let's see my fellow American Chelsea fans. And what's up? Legendary jersey. Yeah, I couldn't find my other jersey. And actually, I was just at Stamford Bridge. I was going to buy a new jersey. Couldn't find, or they were out of the Club World Cup logo, so I didn't buy one. So I'm going to have to buy one recently. Sonic will get 13. I agree with Palmer. So many players miss sitters. Palmer, yeah, last year I believe Palmer could have easily broke the record. Which again, you could say that about many players throughout the years. Because if you look at Ozil at Arsenal back when Giroud was their starting striker, had he had a striker that could have found the back of the net, he would have easily blown the top off the assist record. I think Cole Palmer has a capability of this upcoming year. I do think, again, João Pedro and Liam Delap are capable of actually finishing all those perfect passes that he will make for the most part. Man said Salah, yeah, I do. Again, I think he has the capabilities. But and then Ellison, obviously, because we're going through this list, I'm also on YouTube here, so I'm trying to look back and forth at the comments here. Ellison, I mean, makes most sense with how well that defense has been. Granted, if there's a big injury they pick up, that could obviously affect this. But with their new signs, I mean, Kirkeres, Frimpong, obviously Virgil van Dijk, Kanate, it's such a amazing back four that, again, I could easily see that going a lot higher than 12 clean sheets next year. Caicedo, I love Caicedo. He's a great player, but I don't think he's going to be in any of these runnings, especially for a golden boot or playmaker. Maybe you could throw him into the player of the year, but he's a CDM. Rodri even won a Ballon d'Or and still somehow didn't get player of the year, which again doesn't make any sense. So he's not going to win the player of the year just because he's a CDM. People don't look at it as an elite type of position. The fact it is, though, for the most part, if you don't have a proper CDM, you're going to struggle in the league for the most part. What do you think about Man United maybe getting Shesko and Donnarumma? I saw that with possibly Hoyland being the swap, which I do think that's a pretty good chance that United could really do well with that. I don't know if they really need possibly him. I mean, I think Hoyland can play better. I think with some of the players, I do think Xerxes is the better option, not going to lie. I think he's a better striker. And I do think with the new signs they brought in, I think that United does play better. I mean, I can't see how they bring these guys in and play worse. Donnarumma, I don't know if that's going to happen. If it does, it's obviously a huge upgrade as well for that. Marmoush will become better than Salah. I mean, that's a high achievement if he can do that. I mean, Salah has been just cooking for almost a decade in the Premier League at Liverpool. It would take some time, but I do think Marmoush has a capability, because I do think, again, he is a better dribbler, which, again, not to take anything away from Salah because he's still a great dribbler. He can shoot from a ridiculous, again, I shouldn't say, because Salah can definitely do most of the things that Marmoush can do, but I think Marmoush can go higher. But maybe I'm just jumping on what I've seen from the years in the Bundesliga and then last year with a few of the goals he scored. it will take more than 24 goals to get the Golden Boot. Probably, but I could see like 20. I should probably put 24 plus because I could see him scoring more than 24 goals. I mean, I do think this season there are going to be a lot of goals scored, but I think there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to have a lot of rotation, especially with how many games haven't been playing. And therefore, again, you're going to see guys scoring goals, but it's also going to be guys coming off the bench. And I do think Solanke does score quite a bit of goals. And I could see him going to maybe like 27, 28. I wouldn't be surprised by that either. This is one of the predictions of all time. Possibly. Why do you think people are laughing face? He's good. Solanke, oh, wow, no chance. And possibly, I mean, who knows? Again, these are my predictions. I'm wouldn't be surprised. Obviously, there's multiple players that can easily win the Golden Boot. But I think the playmaker is most likely going to be Cole Palmer this year. Possibly Salah. I mean, obviously, City brought in a few players as well. There's a few guys that could definitely do it. I don't want to take anything away from some of the other players around the league as well, because obviously anyone could make many assists. But I think Cole Palmer does break the record this upcoming season. Lay off the wacky backy. How is Solanke Golden Boot? I mean, I just put him there. That's how he's there for the most part. And it's going to be Bruno Fernandes. Man United has the best attacking behind Man City. I would disagree with that. I would say Liverpool is ahead of Manchester United, especially if they get Isak. But even if they don't have Isak, Ekiteke or Ekiteke. Why am I not pronouncing that right now? Uh, Hugo, I'll just say right now, plus Florian Wirtz, plus Mohamed Salah, plus if they do bring in Isak, it just makes more sense that they're going to be better. Then, yes, I'd put City, and then I'd put even Chelsea above Manchester United. And again, it's not that they're not good attackers, but I would say that Chelsea has a better front three than Man United. And then I'll even throw Arsenal, and I'm not a huge Arsenal fan at all, but with Gyökeres now, Saka, depending on who they put in that left wing, I'm not sure if they're going to stick with Gabriel because while he's a good player, he's not the guy that I don't think is going to get them to reach a final and win something. They definitely need to sign someone better in that left wing position, but I don't know if they're going to do it because obviously they just spent money on Gyökeres coming in. I think he'll be seventh by Christmas. I don't know who the seventh is. Ability wise and shooting wise, he's already better. I'm not sure who we're talking about right now with at Dave and HGGD, but if we're talking about Solanke, maybe, or if we're talking about Marmoush, obviously yes. Let's see here. I could only dream. Just seeing what everyone else wrote here. But anyways, yeah, looking at this, obviously, I mean, we're being very biased here by putting Enzo Maresca here. It again, I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea don't win, but I gotta back my team. I'm gonna say that they're winning the league, and obviously, if Chelsea win the league, Enzo Maresca has to get the manager of the year. Now, granted, obviously Liverpool have probably the highest probability of winning. I could see Arne Slot getting the Manager of the Year award again, but I could also see Thomas Frank getting it. I could see even possibly Ruben Almiron. I mean, because if he does turn things around, if he wins a few trophies with United this year, he could easily win that. And then obviously some of the other clubs that could really push into the top four, top six, because I do think there can be a lot of variables that happen this season. If Newcastle lose Isak and Sunderland can probably finish above them, that is a bold statement. But Sunderland, I mean, I made a prediction. I thought they were going to get relegated, but they've gone out and bought a lot of players. They've obviously gone out and increased what they needed to do. So they might be a very difficult team. I mean, granted, Sunderland always was a difficult team when they were in the Premier League. And so, again, the players they're bringing in should be actually better to make them have a challenge to stay in the Premier League. Why Marmoush? I mean, why? I mean, if you watch him actually play, it's ridiculous. And I'm not just saying at City, when he was playing in the Bundesliga, and yes, you could argue it's the Bundesliga, but even there, he was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, anytime he got the ball, you never knew what he was going to do, and he always had a threat towards goal. So whether that, again, was him shooting the ball or creating chances, and now being at City, you look at all the players that they've brought in, those caliber of players are going to take a lot of the pressure off Marmoush and obviously Holland, that again, those two guys can run freely. Yes, they're obviously going to get defended and all those things, but because of all the players around him, I got to assume Roger, he comes back and plays the way he was after the injury he had. I got to assume Phil Foden is going to play well. And therefore, again, all these random players that have been struggling the last season at City now step up, play better. That gives Marmoush plenty of space to, again, find pockets where he can receive the ball and just find the back net over and over again. And like I said, he can do so many different things with the ball. And therefore, again, I think he has the capabilities because, again, it's almost going to be like they're going to do a 4-4-2 for the most part, or some type of like 4-2-4. There's going to be so much attacking that's going to be going on with City. Savinha out on the right side, Doku on the left side. They can just really attack from left and right down the middle. City's going to be a tough team. I mean, I don't know why people are writing them off next year or this upcoming year when people are talking about the title race, because obviously Pep had a hard time. And I'm just going to throw this out there real quick in case you haven't seen this. I did write a book on how to win like Pep. So if you ever want to check that out, that's on Amazon. But if you just watch how Pep actually plays or manages his players, everything goes through like the middle, out, back, in, and they work so many different systems. And yes, people obviously sit in low blocks on Pep, on Chelsea, on Arsenal. But like I said, they have so many different players now that can break that. That's what Doku definitely is capable of doing, taking players one on one. And when he does that, if he breaks down through that left side into the box, more defenders have to come. And when that shift happens, it obviously creates space. And that's where Holland obviously can really step up and tap the ball in, which I don't care if he taps the ball in. A goal is a goal. You score from the PK, it's a goal as well. But like I said, when you have Salvinia as well from the right side doing the same thing, again, there's constantly areas where defenders don't know what to do. And because they have these two players with Marmoush and Holland, they can both run on top of each other or again stand different positions. They're going to have so many tapping goals this upcoming year. It's gonna just be one of those things like you're gonna get kind of sick of watching it, but I would not be surprised by it. And like I said, if one of them starts going off, I think it is gonna be Marmoush for the most part. Do you think Sunderland will stay up? I do think, and I apologize if I missed any comments as I was just rambling about Marmoush, but again, he's one of those players I really do like. I think again he was a phenomenal signing last year. I wish he would have went to Chelsea. Not that Chelsea was in the running for him, but he obviously has made a huge impact for City. And I think he will the next how many seasons he stays there. Cheryl Holland is a Golden Boot winner. I mean, he could be. I wouldn't be surprised again if he's right there with him. I think it's going to be like, again, if Solanke does win the Golden Boot, I think he wins by like a goal. It's not going to be like he blows anyone else out of the water. It's going to be like 24, 23, 22, or it's going to be like 28, 26, 26. Like there's going to be a lot of high scoring players this upcoming year. How it's just a boring answer. I know. Again, I'm not sure how many goals did he score last year. I'm actually kind of curious about that. I want to look at because I know he obviously scored or won the Golden Boot 2 seasons ago, but I didn't think he scored that many last year, and I'm assuming he still probably scored 20. Gyökeres for Golden Boot. I almost did put him, and again, I wouldn't be surprised if Gyökeres is right there with the Golden Boot running. That was the one thing that Arsenal have been missing. Again, they were lacking a proper number 9. I don't want to discredit Jesus because obviously he's done well. He's been a Premier League winner with City, but he's not the guy that's going to be your aerial threat, and that is what Arsenal have been missing because yes, they have the aerial threat on set pieces with obviously Saliba, Gabriel, Rice, Ben White. You can name a bunch of players that they again have the threat on set pieces, but during the live match when again they're playing through and trying to send balls in the box, there's no one that they can really rely on. Yes, I know Kai Havertz is kind of an aerial threat, but he's not as good as Gyökeres. You now will see Arsenal whip the ball multiple times during the game, and Saka can easily play those curling balls into the box that really goes into the no man's land where the defender doesn't know if he should win the ball or if the goalkeeper should come out. And that is right where Gyökeres is going to win the ball time and time again. And I would not be surprised how many goals he scores that way. And again, giving Saka the assist, which again, he might be right around this area as well. I wouldn't be surprised by that. But like I said, that's why I think Gyökeres could be right there with it for the most part. So Sam Kidd is crazy, and no, I'm not. Sorry if I missed your comments. I'm trying to go back and look. Isak at Liverpool. I mean, if Isak goes to Liverpool, I mean, it's hard for them not to just absolutely steamroll the entire league. And I do think that if that is the case, Isak could win the Golden Boot. The only thing is he does have the history of injuries. I don't know, again, if he's going to be fully fit all year round. Ekatike could possibly take that spot from him. And when I say take the spot, I could see them rotating multiple matches. So depending on who they're playing, he may start possibly Florian Wirtz. If they do some type of false nine, I could see that happening. There are multiple different ways that Arne Slot is probably going to set up Liverpool next season. Whereas, yes, again, if Isak is there, he will be starting the majority of the games. But if he does get hurt, I do think that does affect him. I think Mohamed Salah is still going to score a lot of the goals as well. Where again, I think Solanke, I'm trying to think right now, if he does take the penalties, and I don't know if he does, but if he does, that's a huge thing as well. Because again, if you look at Liverpool, Salah takes that. You look at Cole Palmer, he takes that. At City, I think Holland does take it. So again, you can easily see him being in the top running for the Golden Boot because he does take those PKs, and they definitely get quite a few of those. I'm just looking here at what Erling Holland did last year. That 20, yeah, he only had 22 goals last year. Not that that's a bad number or anything, 27 and 36, but again, I could see him being right there with the top runners for the Golden Boot for this upcoming year. Solanke, Isak, let's see here. Do you see Isak Golden Boot, especially if he goes to Liverpool? Yeah, we talked about that. Allison's injury prone and could hinder his chances. I mean, yes, but if you look at again Liverpool's defense and who they've just signed, Kirk is on the left side, Frimpong on the right side. Virgil van Dijk, arguably one of the best CBs currently and possibly history of the Premier League. I'm not going to say he's the best to ever play at that position, but obviously people have made that case. I can see where they make that case. And Konate, both those guys are phenomenal together. It's a perfect pairing for them, along with who they have. And then you look at the midfield. The midfield definitely helps out when it comes to defensive and keeping clean sheets. So really, yes, Allison is a phenomenal goalkeeper, but he doesn't have that many shots taken on him either because Virgil van Dijk, Konate stop the majority of things. Kirk is obviously going to be able to stop many things, and Frimpong is a really good right back. He did so well by Leverkusen, but then Gravenberch, you're looking McAllister in the midfield. They shut so many things down. So, like I said, it's very difficult for teams to get many opportunities on Liverpool. And yes, teams are still going to score on Liverpool, but like I said, because of that, he doesn't have to work as hard as say a guy like trying to think. Onana, which again is not a great example. I don't think they're even close to each other. But if you're looking at Brentford's keeper last year, why am I blanking on it? Flecken? Flecken had so many ridiculous saves last year. It's because again, you look at their defense, it wasn't as solid and just they weren't as cohesive as Liverpool. And really, Liverpool, yes, bring in two new players. I do think again they will fit in perfectly, and therefore again fits right in with Allison winning the clean sheet or getting 12 clean sheets. Now, Grant Raya may be up there as well, but I don't think Matt Sells is going to be doing as well as he did this past season at Nottingham Forest. I think they're going to obviously struggle a little bit more this upcoming year. Any playmaker is definitely going to be Bruno with Sesko, Kuna, and Boy do actually finish the chances. But so looking at what you just put there, if you think those players, all those players are going to be starting each and every match, it's going to be ridiculous because who are they going to have in the midfield then besides Bruin? You're going to put Ugarte as their CDM. Like you have to balance that out. You can't have Kuna on the left side, you can't have Mboma on the right side, Sesko up front, and Bruno right behind him. That's four guys that you're looking at. Then you're left with Ugarte and possibly Ahmad. And again, there's no defensive work with any of those players. They're going to get run rampant in that midfield. So you need to take one of those players out during the time frame, which again is difficult because I don't know why United bought both those players and now they're going to go for Sesko, which they should go for him. It doesn't really make sense how they're going to exactly do that for the most part. While I do think Bruno Fernandes is a phenomenal player, he is a great creator, creates plenty of chances. I mean, last year alone, you should have plenty more assists, but Hoyland couldn't even find the back of net if it was right in front of the goal. So, yes, he could easily get plenty of assists next year, but I do think Cole Palmer is just going to go on a tear with, again, Liam Delap with João Pedro Neto. Again, I'm not sure if we bring anyone else in. If we bring Xavi Simmons in as well, there's plenty of different caliber players that Chelsea are going to constantly keep rotating. Cole Palmer is a guy that's going to play pretty much every single match, unless there's going to be like real close games back to back. You're going to see Cole Palmer play so many games, and he does create so many chances. And I understand he fell off a cliff mid-December, end of December into January for a couple of months. But despite that, he was still the most goals and assist creator in the Premier League. Now I'm just talking Premier League, not FA Cup, Europa, anything else, just in the Premier League, he was still the top producer for goals and assists as a midfielder. And maybe if you throw him as a winger, then you can argue he's not. But that being said, even falling off a cliff for multiple months, he still had a huge, ridiculous season for the most part. So, like I said, I could see him still doing that next year. Garnacho wants Chelsea, and I don't mind Garnacho coming to Chelsea. I might be one of those people that's a little biased on the player, but when you look at previous players that have been at Man United for the last like 6, 7 seasons for the most part, any player that's come into United has struggled for the most part. Bruno Fernandes being possibly one of the only few players that hasn't struggled. But you look at anyone else that's come in. Di Maria is a great example. He left and started playing better. Rashford went on loan this past season to Aston Villa, played better. Then we saw Anthony Gilles Betis played better. Jadon Sancho left, played better. So many players have gone to United, struggled, went somewhere else and played better. I think Garnacho is another chance of those players that if he goes somewhere else that's not United, he's going to look a lot better and play a lot better. And again, I don't know what it is at United, what they're having an issue with, because obviously prior to I don't know, the last decade, players would obviously go there and they'd still do well. But it's been one of those places now that most players, their confidence just starts tanking. And again, any player, if you don't have the confidence, you're going to struggle no matter what position you play. It does not matter. And right now, most of those players, it could really go south quickly for United, because if they don't get a few wins right off the bat, they will struggle again this upcoming season. Your top 5 best players of all time, rank 1 to 5, please. I mean, if we're talking Premier League or we're talking all time, like throughout the entire world of football, because it's hard to really compare decades of players, because like John Cruyff is one of the best players ever, but I don't know how well he would do in today's Premier League or again La Liga, because it's always different. But if I'm going to do top 5 Premier League players of all time, I'm very biased. So obviously, I'm going to have Frank Lampard as number 1. And then I'm going to put Thierry Henry as number 2. Wayne Rooney, number 3. And again, this is just Premier League. We're not talking anything else here. Wayne Rooney at number 3, because I do believe he is one of the best players to ever play the game itself. It doesn't even make sense how his body was able to do what he did. Then I'm going to go with Conte. Again, you have to give credit for what he did. And then 5, which I don't think, again, most people will never look at defender, but I think John Terry. But again, I'm biased. I'm a Chelsea fan, but I could easily see if you put in someone else in those positions. You could obviously put Kevin De Bruyne. You could put David Silva. You could put many, many different United players as well. But like I said, I'm biased for the most part. We want all time, please. Let me go back here. We want all time, please. Not just okay. So not just Premier League. If we're looking all time, entire football, again, very biased here when we're looking at all-time players. It's got to be Ronaldo, Messi, and you can flip-flop those. I don't care who you're talking about. They're on the same level. It does not matter. So there's 1 and 2 for the most part. Then you're looking at 3, which for me, again, I may be nostalgic when I'm looking at this player, but Kaká was one of those players. Anytime I watched him play, was just a ridiculous player to watch him play. The way he just glided on and through the pitch was just remarkable. So Kaká is my next player at number 3. 4, I mean, again, I feel like you always have to give credit to defenders, because if you don't, it's just you're not looking at how the entire game is played. So defender wise, I gotta go with Sergio Ramos. And again, it's not to discredit any other defenders, but if I have to pick one defender who I'm going to trust in, granted he does pick up a lot of red cards, I'm still going to pick Sergio Ramos for the most part. And again, number 5, I'm going to be biased here, but I'm going to put Frank Lampard in. But you could put Ronaldinho easily into that list. You could put, again, any of Ballon d'Or winners, Benzema, Suarez, again, Thierry Henry, any of those players you could easily put in there. But like I said, that's how I'd probably do my top 5. Ronaldo, Messi, flip-flop if you want to, Kaká, then Sergio Ramos, and then, again, Frank Lampard. That's my top 5. Now, like I said, I didn't get to watch Maradona. I'm not that old. But again, I didn't see Pele, so I'm not going to throw them into the mix. I'm talking about players I actually watched. So that's what I'm looking at. You think Ronaldo's the same level as Messi? I mean, yeah, I mean, look at this. If you were looking at Ronaldo and Messi, and I don't want to really go to this debate because I don't watch them that much, but if one of those players was to join your team, your club, would you be upset? No. So again, if you got to pick one or the other, I'm sure most people probably pick Messi. But like I said, if either of them came to your club, you'd be happy about it. Messi, Ronaldo, Kaká, Ramos, Lampard, bro, you've lost your whole head. Again, like I said, I'm biased on Lampard, but those other 4 players easily can have their set in stone. You look at what Ramos did with Spain from 2000 what 7 2006 roughly, so the 2008 Euros, you look at the 2010 World Cup, you look at the 2012 Euros. That man was vital for that team. Granted, so was Pulio, so was Iker Casillas, a lot of the other players that score goals. But like I said, when you're looking at the sport, you have to look at defenders as well. Granted, I know most people look at goals and assists. That's the big talking point for the most part. But defense wins you games. Defense wins you titles. It wins you so many things. And a lot of times people don't even look at your defenders because, again, if they're not letting up any goals, they just done their job. But if a guy scores his goal multiple times, he gets praise. Defenders don't get as much praise for clean sheets. So, again, that's where I'm looking at that. Messi is so clear of those players you've put on the list. Oh man, how is he not clear of one? Again, you could put Messi, you could put Ronaldo. I don't have a preference. Both of them, it was fun to watch them play. I'm happy I got to watch them play. That's how I look at it. Next season, if we get a secret keeper, maybe a midfielder, but we don't need it. I do think. Bias. Again, I'm biased, so that's no problem. I do think that Chelsea doesn't need another goalkeeper. I think they can definitely trust in Sanchez. I do think he's the right goalkeeper for Chelsea to go on to win the league itself. And I understand people are going to say how he's had so many errors, so many issues with again leading goals where he plays the ball from the back, but it's this time of now where again keepers play from the back. It's not that surprising for the most part that we see keepers making more errors. Granted, he shouldn't make as money as he should be doing, but if everyone does stay fully fit, then I wouldn't be surprised there. Donnarumma to Chelsea, here we go. I didn't see that, so I'm not going to say that's possibly true yet. So if that does happen, more than happy. But like I said, I'm happy with Sanchez currently right now. I bet you Pep still be stubborn playing Haaland over Marmoush. He's going to play both of them. He's going to do almost like it's not going to be a 4-4-2. It's going to be like a probably going to be like a 4-1-3-1. Where am I at here? 4-1-3-1-1. Yeah, something along those lines. And again, you're going to see both those players just playing off it. It's like, what was that, 3 years ago, 2 years ago? When Julian Alvarez played with City, he was a second striker, and he was that guy that really just helped facilitate so many different things for City. Marmoush does the exact same thing, and he's going to get more playing time than Alvarez did because I think Pep feels more confident with him, and he's, I think, a better player as well. Turkey, Marmoush, Holland should get you 100 plus points. I don't think anyone catches City next season. Possibly. I mean, City could easily go on a tear. I mean, you look at what they did 2 seasons ago, and obviously the prior seasons of that. And like I said, last season was, I think, a hiccup for City and for the players. Thought João Pedro in and João Felix out. Yeah, João Pedro is in and Felix is out. Maybe I misspoke, but yeah, Felix is off to the Saudi Arabia League. I think he's playing with Ronaldo, if I'm not mistaken. Now, when we sold him for 40 some plus million. I was away, so I didn't see all the news. I just got back, what was it, 2 days ago? So I'm still jet lagged for the most part, but figured we'd do a live here. Chelsea 4, Man United 5, Liverpool. You think Liverpool's going to finish 6 next year? Who's that? That's kind of wild. City, Arsenal, Chelsea, United, Liverpool. I mean, I guess that's not. Yeah, I could see that happening. That could happen. I mean, I think Liverpool will be right there, though. Solanke, I know most people are going to just talk about how this top one right here, Solanke, is probably not going to happen. But again, I do think there is the capability of Solanke scoring many goals this upcoming season if he stays fully fit. I think Thomas Frank has the capability of actually making Tottenham fairly competitive and actually really good. Man United finishing in the bottom half of the table. I mean, highly doubtful when you're looking at the rest of the clubs. And again, you got to think about too the players that have been moving through different clubs, like Brentford, who did well this past season, I think are going to struggle. You look at Wolves, they're definitely going to struggle. The teams that are coming up, I think, can play very well, but they may still struggle. So that's ready. You're looking at 6, 7 teams ready. So for them to finish in the bottom half, it's going to be pretty hard for them for the most part. But like I said, anything can easily happen. Xavi Simon's golden boot, possibly, but if he comes to Chelsea, he's not going to be starting every match. I'm looking forward to watching him play. I made a video about him today on YouTube. He has such great skill sets, Xavi Simons, that again, It's a perfect signing for Chelsea because it does give them depth for Cole Palmer, so both those guys can then work off each other. But it also gives us a different caliber player who isn't afraid to actually not just dribble out to the wing. He dribbles towards the middle of the pitch, and then when he does that, he dribbles with his head up, which is a problem that we had with Noni, with this problem we've had with different players. A lot of the guys, they dribble with their head down, so they don't see any of the options what they can make. Whereas when you're watching him play with RB Leipzig, he was always looking at Sesko wherever he was or whoever was in front of him. He constantly would dribble into the middle of the pitch, look where those players were, and play those balls across. And a lot of times it led to the goal, or they would play the ball back to him, and he would snap a shot from like right outside the box. So again, he's a guy that has a different caliber, different skill set that Chelsea don't fully have, but I would say we have a mixture of it with João Pedro and Cole Palmer. He's almost like a hybrid of those two players, which is obviously a great hybrid to have for a player. Again, it might be difficult for him to get minutes right off the bat, but I think over time it would make sense. He's going to be a pretty good player at Chelsea if we do sign him. And it sounds like that is almost going to be a fourth sure thing for the most part. You think signing both Kuna and Bola is sort of a weird when United could play Bruno or Mount there? Yes, I do agree. And again, that's one of those things too. Will Jack one? Just realized your name was. Um, but yeah, that's the thing too with Mason Mount. I don't know how he fully fits because Ruben likes to play with 2 10s. When you look at his typical tactics, especially when he was at Sporting, the 2 10s would make sense. You're looking at Bruno, you're looking at Mason Mount, and now that they've brought these other players in with Kuna, you have to now wonder how he's going to rotate these players because I'm not sure if he's going to stick with a 4-2-3-1, if he's going to do something along those lines. But like I said, he now has to rotate these players, and these guys coming in are obviously hoping to start each and every match. They just currently were. They lit the league up last year, whether it was at Brentford, whether it was at Wolves, and whether it was outside a different league, because if they do bring in Sesko into this club as well, there's going to be multiple players with butting heads that want to start. And I understand you kind of want that because that does elevate your players, but it does also cause a problem because now you're trying to find players to fit into this system that you're trying to build. And I don't know if Kuna will actually fully fit. I do think he's a great player, so he should fit into it, but it's still going to be difficult for them. We played 3-4-2-1, mate. Okay, sorry. I just threw a tactic out there, but I was saying, okay, so you're still playing with 2 10s, but if you do a 2-1, so all right, we do 4 in the midfield, and then if you do 2, are you sticking with Bruno and Mount, or are you sticking with Bruno Kuna? Are you sticking with Bruno Ahmad? Again, you have to go one of these players, and then Ugarte, I'm assuming he's going to be the CDM that's sitting behind them, and then obviously you're having those other wingbacks moving up, so that's kind of your force. You're playing more defensively, and you can't have all these players starting all the time. Never predict again. What's this one in your life? I mean, I'll make another prediction. I'm not gonna lie because again, things could easily change. Because dropping Bruno into CDM doesn't make a ton of sense. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they have the caliber of players at United to again be a good team, but you're now trying to fit a bunch of different players into a system that might be a little difficult for the most part. Had they bought in one of those players, I think it would have made more sense because then you still have these other players that can fit into this position. But like you look at Ahmad and how well he did last season, where does he now fit into this system? Because you're most likely going to start Mbomo over him because they're playing pretty much the same position, unless you drop him back into the wing back position. But that now leaves him vulnerable in the defensive third because if you are pushing him up, he's not going to be as good coming back to defend. And like again, teams are going to see that they're going to exploit those spots that again you're going to be weak in those defensive areas because yes, you can really hit people on the attack, but a lot of teams do sit back on counters. It's more common now that teams just have one player sitting back and then they just clear the ball out to those players. Chelsea do it. We've seen Arsenal do it. We've seen other teams. I mean, obviously the lower clubs do as well. They do that low block. And again, they're just always looking for some type of clear out. And that would be an easy spot for United to get hit multiple times throughout the entire time. And again, if you look at why am I blanking on their left back right now? Or I guess the left CB. Would that be Martinez? Yeah, they're pretty good. Never mind. I was thinking the left side might be a little bit weak, but I guess the left side should be okay. It's the right side they're probably have to worry about for the most part. But yeah, anyways, do you think João Pedro will stay healthy to compete for Golden Boot? I hope so. I mean, I really do hope that João Pedro does stay fully fit. The problem with João Pedro is he's going to be rotating minutes, so that's going to be the difficult part. So he's going to be rotating with Liam Delap. I don't know if Nico Jackson's still going to be on his way out. It makes sense for us to keep him for the most part for a rotation, but then you're also looking at the possibilities of Pedro Neto, who can also play as a false nine. He plays as a wing. And Xavi Simmons comes in as well. That makes total sense. Just look at Martinez is good. Oh, that's who it is. Yeah, okay. I couldn't remember who the other player that they brought in. He did look good the other day against Bournemouth in that friendly. But anyways, yeah, you're looking at João Pedro. On top of that, we do bring in Xavi Simmons, who can also play as a number 9. I think he played like a dozen games or so as a 9, but he can also play in the 10 position. But all these players for Chelsea can constantly rotate. So again, it's one of those things that's going to be nice because if it does start getting heavy with Champions League, FA Cup, and just in the cluster of the Premier League season, you're probably not going to see him play a full 90 each and every match. So therefore, again, it might be difficult for him to get up in the Golden Boot for the most part. You are a Tottenham fan. I mean, I don't think so, but I guess if you've watched any of my other videos, I rip on Tottenham and Arsenal all the time. So it's just one of those. I'm accepting that this guy is actually a good player and actually a really good player, and I think Tottenham are going to do well next year. Not that again I want them to, but I can kind of see some of that. What's your prediction on Gyökeres, knowing he is 27's age? Again, Gyökeres, I do think I talked about earlier in this live here that I do think he has the capability of actually scoring quite a few goals because Arsenal were missing. Dude, these predictions are stupid. Oh, yeah, I mean, you don't have to be here if you don't want to. But Gyökeres, for the most part, if you're looking at the attacking third that Arsenal have been lacking, it's the aerial threat in open play because they still have the open threat or the aerial threat on set pieces, corners, free kicks, all those things because, again, they have the height with their defenders, Gabriel, Saliba, Ben White, um, look at Rice, Kai Havertz even, but for the most part, they didn't have any guy that could swing the ball into an open play. Gyökeres offers that. That is a huge different aspect that Arteta has been lacking. And again, I'm not sure why it's taken this long for Arteta and Arsenal to get a player like this. And maybe that's what they were looking at when they bought Kai Havertz, but they should have realized that Kai Havertz wasn't that player from watching him play, not just at Chelsea, but when he played in the Bundesliga as well. Because again, he is a guy that plays as a second striker. He's not going to be your lead striker or your sole number 9, whereas Gyökeres will be that guy for them. So that's where, again, he's going to score a lot of goals, I'm assuming, off some crosses coming from Saka. Even Rice is going to be pinging the ball into him. And if he can find some confidence very early, he will be a ridiculous player to watch this year. Haaland will return as top scorer. Again, it's this right here at 24. I should have put a plus here because this, I think, can go higher for Solanke. And I do think that Haaland will probably score 20 goals. I wouldn't be surprised, but I think he's going to be just short of scoring and getting the Golden Boot this year. And it's not to take anything away from him because he's a phenomenal player for the most part. Golden Boot, Sesko, no, that's not going to happen. Benjamin Sesko is a good striker, and again, not to take away from RB Leipzig, but we've seen some players come from there, especially Chelsea players, Timo Werner being one of them. That just they look amazing, and then all of a sudden they come and they don't score as many goals. But I do think Gyökeres is going to be a little bit different. I think he's going to do well. Do you think Arteta should be sacked if they still can't win anything this season? I mean, I did a live, what was that, 2 weeks ago, and I talked about Arteta. I don't think Arteta gets sacked this upcoming season. If they don't win anything, it will be one more season that we'll see of Arteta. He's got 2 seasons max. If he doesn't win anything, whether he gets sacked or he leaves on his own accord, one of those two is going to happen. I don't think this year will be that year because I think, again, they're probably going to push for some type of a late run, whether it is in the Champions League, FA Cup possibly, or even the Premier League. And because of that, it's going to give them that confidence like, you know what, we got so close. We finally got a number 9. Next year will be our year, even though you keep saying that for like the decade now. And like I said, it's that second year. If they don't win anything, at that point, they have to let him go or he has to leave because you can expect, obviously, the players still want him there, but they need a different manager to get them past that mentality of actually lifting a trophy. And I understand they won the FA Cup with him in his first year, but that was more of Emery's team, and he was just the beneficiary of that coming in. The team was playing well. It still didn't make sense why they sacked Emery. I know they were a little bit of a losing lull for the most part, but Emery is a style manager. Had they have kept Emery, I do think that Arsenal possibly could have won the league already, but with Arteta, it just was they had a massive dip and they came back and they've obviously now playing a lot better, but they still can't win the league, and I don't think they're going to win the league this year because again, I'm assuming Chelsea's going to win. If it's not Chelsea, it's probably going to be Liverpool or City. I don't think it's going to be Arsenal once again, despite the fact they finally did get number 9. But it's just they struggle so many times to get past that last hurdle to actually win something, and not just in the Premier League, but in other competitions as well. You think Gyökeres is going above 50? Yeah, I think Gyökeres will probably score. My guess, I'm gonna say he's gonna score above 15. I wouldn't be surprised. This is an FC 25, mate. I'm not sure what that means by it. I mean, I understand it's the video game, but I'm not sure what you're talking about for this because I think most of those, I feel pretty confident with some of these. Can you explain Solanke? Show Tottenham fan here. Yes. So the reason why I'm picking Solanke, and this is one of the sole purposes, Thomas Frank is coming in. You look at what they did at Brentford this past year between Mbomo and Visa. Both those players scored a ridiculous amount of goals for who they were for Brentford. Now you look at him coming to Tottenham as a manager, he has better caliber players. He's going to be able to take those players and make them even better because we saw what he did at Brentford. Now you give him better players, he's going to elevate them to be even better. This is where Solanke is going to strive. If James Madison can stay fully fit, he is a very good player, a very creative player that, again, is going to be finding Solanke time and time again. Now you look at Mohamed Kudus. That guy by himself is going to be a massive threat for Tottenham because he can score goals. So he's going to take a lot of the pressure off Solanke. Now, while I'm saying this, I understand other teams have these same things as well, that they have a number 9, they have a creative 10, they have players that they can rely on scoring goals. But I do think Solanke, again, has that capability because Tottenham were pushing pretty high and they played a different tactic under Ang, which they're going to play different under Thomas Frank. He understands the flexibility he needs to have. He's done different talks and lives about this. So if you've ever watched Thomas Frank talk about his tactics, it's quite remarkable because the guy is very in depth when he looks at how he actually breaks down teams. He understands what he needs to do. And because of that, he's going to use Solanke very well. And Solanke, I think if he starts scoring goals early on, it's going to be a massive boost for him. Think about, and again, not that they're the same player, but think about Jamie Vardy when they won the league that year. When he started scoring goals, he could literally smash a ball from anywhere, and he just kept finding the back net. I do believe if Solanke gets early confidence, it's going to be the same thing. He's going to be scoring over and over and over again, and he's good pretty much everywhere. So he's good aerial threat. He's good on one-on-one. He can hit a ball from deep. I don't know if he's going to be taking PKs. If he is, again, I think this tally could go up higher for the most part, but he's able to create pockets of space between defenders, and he only needs a quick one touch inside the box. That's how good he is. I think again, last season was a bit of an underwhelming season for him, and obviously for Tottenham. But I do see like the players that they have is a good team, and again, I don't really want to say Tottenham is a good team. It's not a team I really like, but I can still understand and see and give them the benefit of the doubt that they are still a good team. And again, that's why I think Solanke will actually win the Golden Boot. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm not too sure. If it didn't, Nandu 1097, I apologize, but that's where I'm sitting at for that most part. You don't know ball, buddy. I know. I hope Solanke gets the Golden Boot. All right, all right. Fair. He ain't the best striker. I just think we get some goals from him. I mean, yeah, Solanke still got 24 goals assists last season. He was injured for okay, yeah. So exactly. I didn't even realize he had 24 goals and assists. I mean, I'm assuming that's all competitions, which is still a good amount of goals and assists. But like I said, if he stays fully fit and the rest of the team, and that's always a big coin flip for anyone, because again, if you pick up any big injuries, it really can derail the entire team and the chemistry that you have. But like I said, if James Madison stays fully fit, which I'm not sure if that's actually going to happen, probability that's probably very low that he stays fully fit the entire season because I don't know the last time he's been fit for 38 matches. But if he is, and the beginning of the season last year, Tottenham were pretty scary for the most part. And then obviously all the injuries they picked up, that was a huge issue for them. But that again comes down to the tactics of always playing a high line, having guys coming back way too early with hamstring injuries, and the list goes on and on. Where again, I do believe Thomas Frank is the better choice and is going to make smarter decisions to maintain some of these injured players, to rotate them and give them some downtime. So hopefully they don't get overrun for the most part. But that's what I'm thinking with that. Anyways, I think Unite. Oh, sorry. Predict over under 15 goals. João Pedro, Delap, Gyökeres, Ekitike, Marmoush, Kuna. So predicting under. Let's see here. I th- Liam Delap will be under 15. I think he will be right below it. But otherwise, and Ekitike, I could see being under 15 because I think he's going to be doing a lot of rotation, especially if Isak's there. Kuna, possibly under 15 too, but I think he's going to have a lot of assists. Otherwise, João Pedro, Gyökeres, and Marmoush are going to be well over 15 this upcoming year. That'd be my prediction. But again, I can see Kuna getting over 15, but I think he's going to be more of a creative player as well. I think United will be surprised this season. Again, I do think this is going to be a great season, not just for one certain club, but for the fans in general. And I guess that depends because if you're worried about your team playing a certain team, maybe you're not going to look forward to. But I do believe at least 10 to 12 teams this year are going to be so much better that each and every match, you're not sure what's going to happen. And granted, I understand that Liverpool are still going to be heavy favorites in most matches, so are City, so are Arsenal. But I do believe this upcoming year, pretty much any team can beat any team. It is going to be ridiculous for the most part. And even the teams that come up, like Sunderland, I think Leeds, Burnley, they all have players that, again, make them pretty good that they're going to be hard to beat some of their matches. Yeah, these predictions stink, mate. I know. I mean, this is just I flipped a coin. This is what came out. I don't think anyone's going to believe me when this happens. And if it does, you can come back here and say, what a great prediction. But again, this is my prediction. I do think, again, there's a high probability of most of these happening. Will they all happen? Obviously not. But again, that's what I'm thinking here. Pony playmaker and top scorer and best player of the season. Possible. I mean, if he obviously is top goal scorer and playmaker, you have to give him the award. Then it'd be almost ridiculous not to. Solanke, this is the triple Michelin. I want to read this one. Wait, Rage Bay left me. Yeah, I mean, thanks for the compliment. I enjoyed that. Marmouche, what was this? Marmoush's amazing take. Dude scares me as a Liverpool fan. Yeah, again, I don't. Again, I've done lives and talked about Marmoush, and every time people talk about how Marmoush is not that good of a player, and I'm completely baffled how people don't see how good of a player he is because watching him in the Bundesliga, I watched him. I want to say week in and week out because I try to watch the Bundesliga as much as I possibly can. I like it just as much as the Premier League, but again, and it's obviously a different league watching him play in the Bundesliga was just phenomenal. Like he just oozed confidence anytime he got the ball. You didn't know what he was going to do, and defenders didn't know what he was going to do. He did that pretty much at City. And Pep Guardiola, we all know how good of a manager he is. He gets the best of the players, and you could argue he takes the creativity of players. I understand with that, but he still gets the players to play his system, which then breaks other systems, and that's a huge thing for the most part. And like I said, I think Marmoush is that guy that really does give that X variable to Pep Guardiola in that midfield area or attacking third because, like I said, he can go push forward as number 9. He can drop deep like Harry Kane used to do for Tottenham, or you're looking at Wayne Rooney again at United. He can drop way back, receive the ball in his own half, and then drive towards the attacking third. Holland can kind of do that, but not all the time. Marmoush can easily do that. He then can play 1-2s very easily. He's very good at dribbling, passing ability. He has everything you want as a player. He knows how to find the is scary when you look at this player. And again, I wish he played for Chelsea. I wish he didn't play for City, but it's one of those players that I really do like watching him play, though. Jackson is terrible technically. I mean, I'm not sure talking about Nico Jackson or we're saying what Jackson scored one of the worst. What was that? Worst hat tricks I've ever seen in my life. Still a hat trick. He's got more hat tricks than I'm sure you do in your entire career in the Premier League. Just saying. Brighton quality for Europe again this year. I do think Brighton have a pretty good shot. I was quite surprised how well they did last year. I was in the category. I think they were going to do as well with the Zerbi who left. I thought they were going to have almost this issue of again their new manager coming in, but they did really well, and I do think they have the capabilities. I they could push for a European spot now, whether that's conference or Europa. I could see that happening. I don't think they push any higher than that, but don't be surprised, I mean, because Brighton, they can clearly beat teams as well. Now, I know they got smashed last year by what was it, Everton? Or was that 2 years ago? Maybe now I'm thinking of it. But they can get smashed too. But like I said, they can definitely go head to head with any team. And like I said, the tactics that they use as well is quite remarkable. With again, the signings that they always bring in, how Brighton does it each and every year. And I understand being a Chelsea fan, we buy a bunch of Brighton players for the most part. Brighton constantly are finding players in all parts of the world, buying them for like a million, 2 million, and then selling them for 20, 30, 40, 50 million and making massive profits. The thing with this is that they've done this so well that they now can start splurging quite a bit more in the upcoming years with PSR, FFP. It's what is going to help Brighton actually stay competitive in the upcoming seasons, because you look at Newcastle, and this is kind of deviating off what we're talking about up here. Newcastle have struggled with PPR, FFP because they really can't buy players and then upsell them later on. You look at some of the players they do bring in, they buy them later in their career, and then once they're in their 30s, you can't actually sell them for much of a profit, and that really does hinder you future profits for the most part, because now you're looking at, again, maybe getting 10 million for a guy, whereas again, Brighton's selling them for 50 million. It makes a huge difference if you're trying to stay competitive. And now I know they are trying to sell Isaac for roughly 130 plus million. That will help them for roughly one transfer window, whereas they can do it time and time again, like Brighton's been doing. It's slowly building up, and the players that they keep constantly bringing in is remarkable for the most part. So that was a bit of a tangent. I'm not sure why I went on that for Brighton, but it's what my brain was thinking for the most part. Salah will score more goals than Marmoush. I mean, possibly. I'm not sure about that. What was this? You really think Solanke will do this well this season? I do. I'm pretty high on him for my Premier League, fantasy league, and then the FPL, and my other league with a few of my buddies. Chelsea will get relegated, possibly. I highly doubt that's going to happen. Chelsea should start Jackson at left wing. He's insane at dribbling and would cook at left wing. I mean, looking at Oscar's comment, I'm not sure if he's still here. He is a good left winger. I mean, he definitely understands how to drive and run into space to receive the ball. But if we're looking at a left winger, it's got to be Pedro Neto. Pedro Neto just mops the floor over Jackson. And I do like Jackson, but Pedro Neto is that much better. And if we're looking at possibly other, Jamie Gittins is another good player. He did very well at Bayfal Bay. And you're looking at then and Cuckoo, who possibly probably on his way out. But still, there's different options that we could use for that left wing. It's a shame because if he could play more on that right wing, it would make more sense to actually put Jackson on that right side. So then we could drop Cole Palmer almost into that midfield. And I understand it then changes how we're going to play all the other players, whether we do then Enzo, Fernandez, Caicedo, and then possibly something else with an inverted right back moving into the midfield. But again, that's all Enzo Maresca looking at his tactics for the most part. But I do believe he does know how to break teams down too with all his tactics. Bro, Florian isn't worth that money. He's washed. Florian Wirtz, you think, is washed at 22 years old? I mean, maybe, but I highly doubt it, because even if he does struggle in the first year, he has such a long contract now at Liverpool that I'm assuming he's going to do well in at least the next handful of seasons. It's not like he has to be the star player at Liverpool. There's plenty of other players that can really shine, and he can just be one of those side characters on Liverpool and still constantly collect assists and goals time and time again. Milker scores more than Solanke by double. That would be remarkable if that happens. That means Gyökeres is scoring 40, what, yeah, 48 goals. I doubt that's going to happen. Solanke is scoring 28. I believe in him. Let's see here. Bruno Fernandes, playmaker. Again, Bruno Fernandes could easily be his playmaker. I just don't fully know how they're going to set up their season, their team this upcoming year. I do think they have better players than they did last year, but still, it's one of those things that I could see them still really struggle. Rodrigo Muniz is underrated striker. Fulham. He had 8 goals and 1 assist in 950 minutes in the Premier League. I mean, that's not bad, but it's still not going to get you to the Golden Boot. I mean, unless he's constantly doing that. Just let me see here. So did Ronaldo and Rafael? I don't know what that means with Ronaldo. Tell me what Neymar's worth money, though. You go, I'm not sure what's all even going on here. A playmaker at Turkey, yeah, again, he could easily be as well, but I don't think the problem with you're looking at City, there's gonna be so many rotation going on, because I want to look actually up their squad, because their midfield is quite ridiculous right now. squad for this season. I'm trying to just think who they all have in the midfield right now because, again, it's going to be very difficult because you got to remember some of the injury players are coming back here. Just pulling up here. So if we're looking at City's midfield, and this is why I think it's difficult to fully pick a starting 11 for obviously for City. And again, I'm just gonna throw this book out here again, just to no shame here. In case you ever want to check out my book, I wrote how to. Well, I can't see that. How to win like Pep. And if you want to check it, it is on Amazon. It's free if you have Kindle. So just throwing that out there real quick. But anyways, we're looking at the midfield. Oscar Bob, you have Cherky, you have Doku, you have Claudia, you have Phil Foden, you got Jack Grealish, who's probably on his way out. So I'm gonna put my finger back down. Gurion Kovacic. So we're at 7. McAtee, Nico, Mateo Nunez. So we're at 10. Nico Riley, Kelvin Phillips, who again not going to play for him. Reiners. Then you have Rodrigo or Rodri, Salvino, and Bernardo Silva. You have 15 players that you have to rotate at City. Like, I don't know how Pep Guardiola is going to do it. And granted, I understand some of those are wingers, but yet you can only play so many midfielders because he typically plays 4 in the back. It's not like he does 3 in the back, but who knows? Maybe this is the year Pep does the 3 in the back. If that's the case, possibility, then it would be very interesting. But then you're looking at the 2 forwards, which again, I think both forwards do start. So if you look at 4 in the back, you got 2 forwards. That's again, you only have position for 4 more players to get into that. And we just talked about how there's 15 midfielders. You have to somehow fit into those 4 positions. So Shirky, again, I think if he does get some minutes, he could easily start scoring and getting plenty of assists. But I think Nico is going to be one of those guys that's going to go under the radar and do well at City this upcoming year. I can't lie, Shirky is better signing than Verts, possibly. What do you think about Gyökeres? Gyökeres, I think, is a good player. I do think he's going to score a good amount of goals, but I don't think Arsenal are going to win the league again, if that's what you're looking for. Let's see. Oh, 1 second. My screen is making sure I'm not. There we go. 21 assists, never been done. I know. That's why I think Cole Palmer is going to be the guy that breaks it. And again, it's one of those I'm wishful thinking for a Chelsea fan for the most part, but I do think Cole Palmer has the caliber to be the guy that breaks the assist record because the guy, if again, it's remarkable how he's so fortunate that he's a footballer because if he did anything else in the world, I'm not sure if he would survive, but he is a phenomenal football player. Um, Young Player of the Year, Skelly. That's a good shout. Yeah. I could see MLS being a good shout for Young Player of the Year because obviously what he did last year, that wouldn't surprise me. I probably I didn't even think about him while I was looking at this. I looked at Florian Wirtz and I just figured that'd be the good option. But yeah, Skelly's he's a good shout. I'll give you that. If Isaac joins Liverpool, he easily gets Golden Boot, surely. I mean, the problem with Isaac, again, is his history of his injuries. Because, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if he picks up an injury or two. And I do think that Liverpool are going to be rotating with Ekitike and then possibly some of the other players that they have. And Florian Wirtz can play as a false 9. And again, you're looking at some of the other things that Slot's probably going to do. I don't think that he's going to probably going to play 30 games, but I don't think he's going to win the Golden Boot, even if he still goes to Liverpool. Wirtz had ruined his career. I'm not sure how he ruined his career. He's only 22. It's not like his career is anywhere near being done. He's starting over Foden, Grealish, Silva, Shirky, Savino, Marmoush. I'm not sure, Ruben, who you're talking about, who's starting over who there. But what does Chelsea have that's better than Arsenal? Because Chelsea's defense isn't as solid. Well, one starting point is that they beat PSG, something that Arsenal couldn't do. Just saying. On top of that, they obviously are more cohesive as a starting 11, I think, in my opinion, from front to back. Like, if you're looking at our defensive line, into our midfield, into our attacking third, all these players, again, simultaneously are constantly checking and balancing what they need to. And that's a big talking point that, again, I don't think a lot of people are realizing how good Chelsea are doing this. American explains it. Yeah, I mean, I am American, so yeah, it is what it is. But anyways, looking at what they do then, they can rotate players. They can obviously take the inversion of Cucurella, Malagusto, Reece James. It looks like we're going to be bringing Hato as well. I'm not sure if he's going to be playing more as a left back, a left CB. along with Levy Colwell. They're going to rotate those positions. But I do think Chalba as well is a very good defensive player. I don't think he gets the credit for how good he is. He did very well at Crystal Palace. Then obviously Chelsea yanked him back, and he did very well at the end of the season for us. And again, grateful that he came back because I do think he's a great player. But then you're looking at Moise Caicedo as our CDM, the best CDM, I believe, in the league. Rodgers right there with him, but after the injury, it's hard to say who's going to be better this upcoming year. Cole Palmer, more creative than any player on Arsenal. Then you have Enzo Fernandez, who again I think is a better box-to-box player. Yes, you could argue that Rice is probably the better player, but I think Enzo Fernandez just does it slightly different and is better at doing it, if that makes sense. But if we had Rice, I'd be more than happy to have him. And then you're looking at our attacking third, our left side, whether it's João Pedro, whether it's Neto, any of the players we have on our left side is better than any player at Arsenal. I do think Liam Delab is just as good as Gyökeres. You can flag me in the comments if you want to, but I think again, João Pedro, if he's our starting number 9, he's better than Gyökeres. And on the right side, we have multiple options as well that we can utilize. So therefore, again, not saying they're better than Saka. I understand how good of a player he is, but we have many, many different variables at Chelsea that we can constantly rotate players that we want to. Whereas Arsenal, they're pretty much gridlocked into certain players. They can't really make too many different changes if they want to. They are kind of stuck with them. And that's not to say that's a bad thing because obviously it does work for some teams, but it's one of those things that had they had different key options to make some of these bigger changes, they possibly could have won the Premier League at some point in the last handful of seasons. But it's one of those things they just kept trying to do the same thing over and over again, and it just was not working for them. That's one of the downfalls that Arteta has. And that's not to say it's because of Arteta, it's because they're not signing multiple players. Whereas Chelsea are constantly bringing players. They get a lot of flack for it because, again, people talk about a bloated squad. But yet, at the same point, we still rotate players all the time because it makes a huge difference. So that's why, again, I think Chelsea are better than Arsenal. Now, head to head wise, if we're looking at one match, I'm not going to argue. I think Arsenal is the better team, but for a long period of time, I think Chelsea have the better outcome for not just one season, but for multiple seasons going forward. So again, that's why I like watching what they've been doing the last couple of seasons. Let's see here. So I know people will think I'm trying to rage bait with Solanke, but again, I do rate him quite high this upcoming year. Oh, you're a Chelsea fan. Me too. Yeah, I mean, maybe I should put this up a little bit higher, but yeah, I love the sport itself. I love talking about tactics for the most part, which is why, again, shameless plug here one more time. I wrote a book here on how to win like Pep Guardiola. And I also have this guy here too. If you are looking to play, dominate the pitch, both free if you have Kindle. So again, love the sport for the most part. So you think Arsenal has way wait, what is this? Makes the team better. So you think Arsenal has where they I'm not sure what you mean here. E56768. If you want to type that again, hopefully I see the comment. I apologize if I missed it. As a Spurs fan, why Solanke Golden Boot? Because I think he can do it. Golden Boot, Gyökeres, Playmaker Verts, Player of the Year Verts, Golden Glove, Rhea, Manager of the Year. I don't know. I mean, if you're gonna have player Verts, player of the year Verts, it's got to be then Slot. I'm assuming that Liverpool's winning it then. There's 38 games, bro. 5 doesn't matter. I'm not sure what that I may have misspoke if I said something. I know they played 38 matches, unless I said something else. Marmoush is one of the best players last season in Prem. Last 5 games, he was. Oh, yeah, yeah, unless that's the comment you're talking about. Yeah. And again, if you're looking at Marmoush and a quick snapshot example of what we saw just last season, you're already seeing how good of a player is. And that's the fact that he didn't have any preseason training with Pep, with the rest of the squad. They literally brought him in and just threw him into the system, and he still shined. Like, that's how good of a player he is. Like, he just understood. Now, you could say a great player should do that. That is not the case when you play for Pep Guardiola. There's been so many players that have come to City that have struggled as a good player. They come in, they try to play his system, they cannot do it. Marmoush literally dropped in and just fit it and started scoring goals, ridiculous goals. He also picked up assists. Now that he has a full summer with Pep, with the rest of his squad, he's going to be just a freak for the most part, and I would not be surprised at how well he does this upcoming year. Marmoush's, let's see here. There's a loads of highlights showcasing. Oh man, I missed that one. I wish there's a better way to look at those. Where's Newcastle placing? Man, I wish Newcastle is one of those things that I think they I feel bad for Newcastle almost because again, it's one of those things that if they had a better system for buying and selling players, and I know this is again being a Chelsea fan, you can obviously say they did their own stuff in the early 2000s, but Newcastle they don't sell anyone to make profits, and because of that they are now getting hit with that for the most part because Isaac. I think had they been able to bring in a few more players, I think Isaac would want to stay at Newcastle because again, the fans love well, they did love him, not as much anymore. They brought in Alonga, who I thought was a pretty good signing. Anthony Gordon is a good left wing, but despite all that, the rest of the team just doesn't really do what they need to do. And that's not to say their midfield's not pretty good. Bruno Guimaraes is a great player as well. Tonali is a good player. And the rest of the back line is a good player. I would say the goalkeeper is pretty solid, but they just don't have the extra like oomph that they need. And because of that, I think they will struggle now. I had them up in, I think I was predicting fifth. Maybe I think I may have had them in fourth, but now with Isaac leaving, I I struggle. I really do see them struggling to get in the top eight. They may finish in the top part of the table, but it's gonna be like ninth for the most part. That's probably where I see them finishing for Newcastle. They could shock me. They could surprise me because again, I thought they were going to be better for the most part, but like I said, now with how everything are going for them, they are definitely going to struggle. And signing Ramsdale, I think again, people are probably questioning that, but I think Ramsdale is a good option despite the fact that he got relegated with Southampton. But I think you put any goalkeeper, not just current goalkeepers, but if you put Buffon with that Southampton team this past year, he still would have got relegated with them. It didn't matter who you had as a goalkeeper. That team was horrible. So again, I'm not going to discredit Ramsdale for one bad season at Southampton because everyone looked bad there. Let's see here. And Bundesliga is terrible. I mean, Bundesliga is not that bad. I understand what you're trying to say here, but if you they play a different system, and if you look at how some of the teams have done in Europa, you look at the Champions League, I would say Bundesliga has been doing quite well the last handful of seasons. Now, granted, they haven't won it, but they still have made far chances into the Europa with Bayern Leverkusen making it the final 2 seasons ago. Salah Golden Boot. Again, I could see Salah definitely pushing for the Golden Boot. Marmoush might win Egyptian Player of the Year. Again, I think it's unfortunate, and when I say it's unfortunate, because they still get to play with each other, that Marmoush and Salah do not get to fully play with each other for a long period of time. And now I understand Salah is a freak when it comes to his capability, his ability to stay fit and injury free because he's not really ever injured. But obviously, if there was like a 3 year difference between these guys, not as much as it is right now, having both those two players play for Egypt would have been quite scary for any team that had to play them. But now Salah's on like the back nine for the most part. Marmoush is in the front nine. They will get to play together, but I can easily see Marmoush surpassing Salah. But again, when you're looking at that, you have to look at how well he'll stay fully fit because the injury could obviously throw that off course. The fact that Salah did stay fully fit for so many years is a huge compliment to what he's done for himself. So again, I do hope that obviously players constantly keep building, do better than the players we've seen currently. It just makes the sport that much better. But I do think Marmoush has a capability of doing that. Ruben, he literally got grouped. No, I'm not sure what. There's other comments going on here, so I apologize. Words before Bayern Leverkusen season. No one knew the guy. Everyone knows Sharky, bro. I mean, I don't know. Being a German fan, I guess maybe I knew who Wirtz was more or longer, because I'm trying to pull a jersey out right now. Not that it is a. It's not a. Being a Deutschland fan, for the most part, it's one of those things I kind of follow a lot of the Germans, and he's been on my radar for a while. So again, it's a guy that I do think is going to be well. Young Player of the Year, Chelsea Sarr. I'm not sure who you're talking about there. Chelsea win the league. Thanks for the luck. I mean, I think Chelsea have a good shot at winning the league this year, and I understand people are going to say that there's no way that Chelsea can win it, but Again, you look at what Chelsea have just done in the Club World Cup. You look at what they've been building. You look at the players they brought in. They're still bringing more players in. They're trying to sell a few different players. And again, it's a friendly. Again, PSG would have wanted people to talk about how they're the greatest club because they won everything, but yet Chelsea somehow stopped them. But you look at some of the other players they're possibly bringing in yet. Xavi Simons, who again I think is going to be a huge signing for Chelsea if we're able to bring him in, because again he does bring this different element into our attacking third. He's very creative. He's really good at dribbling the ball and has the capability of scoring very good goals where Chelsea may struggle against low block teams because he's able to score from outside the box. Because currently, when you're looking at some of our players right now, I think João Pedro is one of the only guys. I mean, Cole Palmer can hit a ball from a little further out, but really none of those guys have the pace on the ball when they hit the ball besides João Pedro. So to have another guy like Xavi Simons is another guy that just makes Chelsea that much better for the most part. Let's see here. I know Verts doesn't even. Oh, sorry if I missed any comments, by the way. Here, I'm going back here. Liverpool looked really bad. People knew Verts too. Solanke, again, I don't know why people are not realizing how good Solanke is because, again, someone mentioned before he had 24 goals and assists in all comp last year, but actually now I want to go back and look at what that looked like. So Solanke stats, because I thought he did better than that, but maybe I'm missing that. So 27 matches. He didn't play. I thought he played more than that. So maybe now I'm looking at that. Maybe this is a bad prediction, but I'm still going to stick with it. I still think Solanke is going to win Golden Boot. I'm going to go with it because, again, I think Thomas Frank makes Tottenham that much better for the most part. And again, I'm sure people are going to say when they see this later on, like, how could you even pick that? But I still think he's going to score quite a few goals. Let's see here. No, Salah gets Golden Boot. Come on. I mean, again, Salah is not a bad shot when you're looking at Golden Boot winner for the upcoming year because again, it's one of those things that he's always a guy that's going to be scoring ridiculous amount of goals, and therefore, again, I wouldn't be too surprised if he does that. I'm just gonna end this stream here. Actually, we'll keep that stream going for the most part. I'm just gonna lean back because I'm leaning forward way too much here. So what's this here? Kind of fell off at the end of the season. I'm not sure who that was. Slocky with Spurs. Nah, you being a Chelsea fan. Well, that's all I'll get. We'll see. Slocky at least 30 goals. If he scores 30 goals, I'll be happy with my Premier League fantasy team. I think Tottenham will finish top five. I think they will for the most part. I mean, top five, top six is going to be very difficult this year because, again, you're assuming Liverpool, City, Arsenal. So that's three out of the five. Again, I'm assuming Chelsea's winning it. So now it's four out of the five. Then from there, you're fighting with United, Newcastle, Tottenham. I do want to put Brighton in that topic as well because I think they can do that. Aston Villa. There's quite a few teams that are going to be pushing for the top six for the most part. Move your head. Oh, I'm sorry, man. Moved my camera and then set back down. You forgot Solanke for Ballon d'Or. Let's not get ahead of ourselves too much here. Newcastle will not be fighting for top six. I mean, I'm not sure how you can't see United fighting for top six. I understand how poor they were this past season, but still, to say they're not going to be fighting for top six, they're going to have a better team this year. They're going to have a better run. Ruben now had the rest of the last season, which was a dumpster fire for them. I think any manager would have struggled. Whoever would have came in, he's had the preseason. They've looked a little better. Now, I don't put as much weight in the preseason as a lot of other people because, like I said, preseason is one of those times that you are just trying to tinker with your tactics. You're trying to figure out certain players if they can play a different role that you want to see. And you really want to make sure that they can do that before the league starts. So again, if teams lose their preseason matches, it's more or less you're finding out that certain things aren't working. So while teams may look really good in preseason, they then may struggle because they have this false confidence going into the league itself. And that's not to say that you can still have the confidence to go into the league and then start winning matches as well. But like I said, I don't put too much weight into preseason because, like I said, you're trying to figure out different things with different players that are coming together. You're trying to get the chemistry, the gelling of different tactics and players by themselves, which, like I said, sometimes does not really work in preseason because, again, other teams are doing different things. So you may exploit some of their weaknesses, despite the fact that they may not have those weaknesses later on. So United being Bournemouth, like I said, 4-1 looks great on paper, But like I said, Bournemouth was also trying to probably do some things as well. So yes, they were able to score 4 goals, but come season wise, I think Bournemouth will then have obviously their tactics set up a lot better and probably won't let 4 goals in. Anyways, nowhere. Let's see. I love talking about Arteta, so let's see what that one. Nowhere for Arteta to hide this year. Yeah, I mean, this year, if Arteta and Arsenal don't win anything, it's again. Someone asked me earlier if I think this is the end of Arteta if he don't win anything. I think Arteta has 2 years left if they don't win anything. So this year and next year, if they don't win anything in the next 2 years, the man's got to go. And again, it's not to disrespect of that he's made Arsenal fairly competitive again, but the fact that they've only lifted the FA Cup since what 2020, 2019 is again, it's kind of crazy. All right, Ted Lasso. I mean, yeah, we could definitely talk about Ted Lasso if we wanted to. Did Ted Lasso did he speak any German though? I mean, ich kann Deutsch sprechen und ich liebe die Bundesliga. But again, that's one of those things I'd rather speak in English. Solanke, I missed that 5 years, and he lifted a trophy. And yeah, the trophy lifted was coming off of Emery. So again, I give credit to Emery with that as well. But that again, probably people don't. Who do you think being in the replace Arteta? I mean, if we're looking at 2 years time frame wise, I don't know who's going to be available. It's going to be very difficult to say who's going to be available because anything can happen. Someone can get sacked. Someone can open up. I I don't even want to say, but I'd say I wouldn't be surprised if Thomas Tuchel gets sacked by England and it opens up for Thomas Tuchel to go to Arsenal. Which, if that was the case, again, I see Thomas Tuchel taking Arsenal and winning something with them. Just saying. That would be my bold prediction with that. Will it happen? Probably not for the most part. So, um, we're just gonna decline that. There we go. The Henry assist record is cursed. It's not getting broken. Cole Palmer is the guy that's going to break it. I'm very heavily reliant on Cole Palmer being the guy to finally break that curse for the most part. Kevin De Bruyne came very close, and I know some people talk about how he should have had that one assist that got deflected. I don't know who it was anymore, but again, it's one of those that I think Cole Palmer will break it for the most part. Fabrizio go? Here we go. I'm not sure who you're talking about for who. Here we go. Let's see here. So I'm going back to some of these comments. So I'm sorry if I missed any. Awful predictions. Thanks, Dan. Thanks for the comment. Solanke won't even score 15 goals. We'll see about that. He didn't, though, and he won't this season. I'm an Arsenal fan. I love Arteta, but we do need to see him win something. Yeah, I mean, again, you can only go so many seasons without winning anything. Like, think about this. If he was at Chelsea, he would have been sacked probably 2 seasons ago. If he was at City, he would have been sacked already. Even at United, I'm pretty sure he would have been sacked. Arsenal was one of the only clubs he could have went to and did what he's done so far and given this long of a leash not to get sacked because coming in second multiple years in a row and not winning anything else, FA Cup, League Cup, you could argue that again, Champions League, that's its own different thing. It's very difficult to win. So I'm not going to discredit him on that one. But the fact that they haven't really won anything else in this time frame is quite remarkable. Because again, Chelsea, he would have been sacked way, way long ago. And again, it's not to say because we've sacked some managers that probably shouldn't have been sacked, but he would have been let go many seasons ago. Which again, I don't know if that's the right call or not, but like I said, maybe Arsenal should move on from him as well. Let me see here. Move your head a bit. Oh, I'm sorry. Here again. I'm gonna tilt the phone back. Actually, that might be better. We'll do that. I think João Pedro will score 30 goals. I hope so. I really hope João Pedro scores 30 plus goals. And I hope Cole Palmer assists all 30 goals. I would absolutely love that for the most part. Though I do need to change my fantasy Premier League because I'm now thinking about João Pedro going into my team of the first week, but I got to look at that again. Um, Danny 65 realistically, I'm not sure what that was. Appreciate it, man. I hope Marmouche can pull it off, but doubt it. I mean, I really hope Marmouche can as well. I do because here's the thing. I do think if Marmouche can pull off player of the year, you look at some of the other players, Michael Ballack, which is why I love Chelsea because he played for Chelsea. He's my favorite player of all time. But like I said, this lately we haven't seen as many players come from the Bundesliga that have shined as well. Now, obviously, Erling Haaland was another player that did really well, come from BVB, but like I said, we'll see how the rest of the Bundesliga players do these upcoming seasons too. KDB, I mean, yeah, I guess you could put KDB in there as well. Um, it's hard to say because I mean, he was at Chelsea, went away, came back. It's the same thing like Mohamed Salah. Like he was at Chelsea, went away, came back. So like he was a product of the Premier League, then went away to get better and came back in. But I do understand what you're saying there. So yeah, we'll agree with that on that. Let's see. Solanke will struggle to score 15 goals. I don't know why people think he's going to struggle to score 15 goals. I think he easily scores 15 goals this upcoming season. Brother is on the moon rocks with these Chelsea predictions. Uh, that is what happens when you're a Chelsea fan. You just are deluded. You hit your head one day and you become a Chelsea fan, and then you just start talking nonsense. I mean, hopefully, I'm not talking as much nonsense as some of the other Chelsea fans out there, but it is what happens sometimes with Chelsea fans. I wouldn't say we're as diluted or delusional as Arsenal fans, but that being said, I understand where some of my picks and predictions can be way off. Even my friends who look at some of these always laugh and they're like, "How can you even predict anything?" And again, they're predictions. I'm not going to just say boom, 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 boom. I like to make predictions off a few other key factors going on, not just what I saw last year. Ekatike scraps 10 goals. I mean, yeah, probably. So like a golden boot is like saying Nunez Ballon d'Or. No, I mean, I was going to make a comment there, but I'm gonna hold my tongue on that. Um, let's see here. Could have said any other striker. I mean, any other striker, you think? I could have said Højlund, and you would believe that Højlund is gonna score more goals than Solanke? I highly doubt it. Highly doubt it. But you never know. Son is confirmed to leave Spurs. I assumed he was, but I didn't know if he actually had left yet. Um, again, it's a shame because I think Tottenham have had a good run while he's been there, and obviously they've only lifted. Thanks for the flowers, by the way. Thanks, man. Son leaving, I think it's just the timing is right for him to move on, and I believe he's going to the MLS if I'm not mistaken. But this is where really Tottenham can actually go in and then bring in a proper left winger, a younger left winger. Now I don't know who Spurs would possibly bring in. I mean, there's been options, but Chelsea have gobbled up most of those players. But I do think if they bring in a very good left back, or sorry, left winger, that is also going to help Solanke. And I do think Kudus in the midfield, James Madison, we talked about earlier, even some of the other midfielders they really have a lot of players that can actually help Solanke do very well. So, like I said, that's why I think Solanke is going to be there. And again, thanks for all the flowers. I don't know what exactly that means, but I saw they came in, so I don't know who sent them, but thank you again for those flowers. Um, so I'm backing up here just a little bit again. Maybe because you're spamming. I'm not sure. Rasmus, right toenail greater than Solanke. I mean, did you watch last year at all with how Rasmus Højlund couldn't even find the back of net in front of the goal? It was quite remarkable how bad he was. Um, let's see here. Way too early Champions League prediction. I mean, Champions League is always difficult to pick and predict, and especially now with how they play it. And the reason why I say is because, and I've said this in another video I've done before, when you look at the Champions League, you can get stacked heavily favored to make it to the final or not. Like, look at Liverpool. They had to play PSG. PSG, I mean, had a very difficult run, but the fact that PSG had to go through Liverpool, Aston Villa, Arsenal, and they just went right through it for the most part. You could say it's unfortunate for any of those three teams because they had to play them. Had Liverpool been anywhere else, they may have had a better run in the Champions League, and maybe they could have made the final then. But like I said, it's just unlucky or fortunate the way it gets picked in the draw for the most part. So it's always difficult. But that being said, if I got to make a prediction, I mean, the way PSG have been playing, I do think they have a good run. I think Barcelona is another team that can easily make it to the final. Now, I'm not going to say either of them are going to win it, but like I said, that's my prediction that I think one of those two teams will probably be in the final at least, though. Son is leaving. Yeah, again, I didn't realize Son. I heard he was possibly leaving. I don't know if he did there. They got to run over there. They need a new nine. I'm sorry, I'm going back here, so I'm just trying to see what I missed here. Holland, Salah, Isaac, Watkins, Pedro, Verts, Gyökeres, Pedro, Mateta, Wood will all score more. Maybe. I doubt it. I mean, looking at all those players, I'm just trying to think. It is possible. I don't think that's going to happen, though. All right, so let's see here. Yeah, but with Kuna and well, better service. Yeah, still, I think Xerxes is the better striker for United. I so you just asked me, and I could even say Xerxes last year was worse than Solanke. Anyone that actually played United was probably worse besides Bruno Fernandez. But if you're looking then at any of the Southampton strikers last year, there's plenty of strikers that were horrible last year. So again, just saying for the most part. But yeah, let's see here. 21 assists. Yep, I'm thinking that Cole Palmer. I'm very high on how he performs. I think he will have the capabilities of again 21 assists, if not more. Now, does he score a bunch of goals this upcoming year too? Yes, I think he scores double-digit goals, and I think he could be in the running for Player of the Year next year, this upcoming season. But I think Marmouche is the guy that's going to be getting then 35 plus GAs. Yes, again, I think Marmouche is probably going to score 20-ish goals and then have somewhere around 15 to maybe 17 assists as well. But that's where we're at. Where do you think Chelsea will end up on the table next season? I mean, I have it right here that they're going to win it. Chelsea is going to be the Premier League winners this upcoming year. I'm very delusional on that. I understand. So if you're not a Chelsea fan, you probably are not delusional thinking that. But any Chelsea fan should be thinking that we can win the league. If you don't think that, you're not a fan then. Bro said, I like going back to these comments. Bro said Solanke Golden Boot. I know. What's going to be very comical to me is when Solanke does win the Golden Boot, if anyone even remembers me predicting this, because again, I do think he has the capability of doing that. And will I eat my words? Probably, because when the season ends, watch him again. People saying he's not going to score 15 goals. I will admit it. Because we're going to go back and talk about some of these predictions. And granted, these predictions could still change it. I'll probably do one more, maybe two more, like predictions like this. Obviously, how the table will end at the end of the season, just because with all the new signings and things that have been moving, again, things can definitely change it because if Isaac goes to Liverpool, that changes things. If another striker comes in to say United or even say, I don't know, another club picks up another player, it could definitely change how things turn out for not just their club itself, but any of these words too. So that being said, Ward Holland, I guess maybe I should have done a Golden Boot 1, 2, 3. Like this is where Solanke is, this is where Holland is, Isaac. I think Holland scores like one or two less. And I could see him being around like 22, 23 again, like he did in this past season. As long as he's scoring more than Salah, Holland, Isaac, that's crazy. I know, I know it's crazy, but that's what predictions are for. American moment. Yeah, I know. Let's see here. Saka will break assist record. He'll miss 13 games last season, had 10 assists without a proper 9. I mean, I would not be surprised if Saka does push Palmer for the most part to again have a lot of assists. And it is one of those things like if he stays fully fit, he can definitely be one of the best players in the league itself. Like hands down, he's a great player. I'm not going to say he's not. And I do think him and Gyökeres will definitely have a good connection. And if they do pick up a better left winger, that could make a huge difference as well for Gyökeres for the Golden Boot. But again, you have to think about how many games Saka has played, not just this past season with an injury, but his entire career. Like the man has played so many matches at such a young age that, again, I hate to see it. I understand why some of these players, again, are playing so much because they're so good. But a lot of these guys get run into the ground very quickly at such a young age because Saka's what? Is he 22 yet? Is that right? Or is he 23 now? But again, you look at the amount of games Saka has played, it's remarkable for such a young age that again I'm looking right now. He is 23. Yeah, he's gonna be turning 24, so that's what it is. But he's already played 195 appearances for Arsenal, just Arsenal, which is ridiculous for a guy that's only 23 years old. Like that is going to wear on his body. And I hopefully again he can play into his 30s. I never hope a player doesn't play well into his 30s. But like I said, when you run a player like that and how reliant Arsenal have been on just one solid player, which again, it makes sense why they bought Noni because they can then rotate him with Saka. Now, granted, I'm sure they're going to want to play Saka the majority of the time, anyways, but it's just remarkable. Again, if he does stay fully fit, he does have the caliber to again be a great player and get plenty of assists, and especially with Gyökeres who can score and find the back of the net. So, sorry, just rambling again. Chelsea champions, of course they're champions. They're always champions. Never count Chelsea out. Anytime you discredit or count Chelsea out, they go on to usually win things. Thoughts on Fabrizio Romano? I mean, I don't know him, so I can't really say anything personal wise about him. I mean, I'm jealous of his gig. I wish I was a guy just doing here we go for the most part. I do think he does stretch things out nowadays where I know it used to be like finally like this is the final here we go and now it's like oh we're still waiting on things. But that being said, I mean I usually still rely on him for most of my news if a thing does go through. Granted, I'm not constantly checking Twitter or Instagram or wherever he's posting. I'm usually on like my Reddit Chelsea page. That's where I see most of the things for the most part. But that's what I'm looking at. I need to get a drink of water real quick. So give me 1 second here while I drink this here. Thoughts on, let's see, relax. He's diluted, bro. Very diluted. I'm not going to deny that. Oh, man. Yeah, I've been talking for an hour and a half right now. By the way, if you are still here, we do live commentary as well. When I say we, I guess me, myself, and I do live commentary on all Chelsea match. Well, I shouldn't say all Chelsea matches because if they play a Friday, I can't do those. But any Saturday, Sunday match, I do live commentary. Watch the full game and do a full 90 minutes plus sometimes. So again, I do a lot of these lives where I just do a lot of talking for the most part. I ramble, but during a live, I talk about what's going on in the match, my thoughts, my predictions as well. So again, if you like this stuff, feel free to follow me. We do those lives for Chelsea matches. Um, Probably going to try to do the AC Milan one for a friendly. Can't do the Bundesliga one against Leverkusen just because it's against a Friday after work. But the other ones, again, if there are Saturday, Sundays, we can make those work. So just again, throwing that out there for anyone that has just joined in. This might be the worst take I've ever seen. You must be new here because I'll have another worse take than this, Hayden. Come next week, there'll be even a worse one. So, worst one you've seen so far in your life. Just wait for another one. Where do you think Spurs will finish? Spurs, I could see finishing in like the top six, top seven. Spurs love, no way. I mean, again, I'm a Chelsea fan. I don't feel good putting Solanke up there, but again, I will definitely give him some credit. How was losing the final? As a Chelsea fan, I'm not sure what final you're talking about because we won the past final that we were in the last two actually. Spurs. So again, not that I picked the wrong. I should have worn my blue jersey, not the black one, because I'm sure of me leaning probably looks like this might be a Tottenham or something along those lines. No, I was a United fan. Oh, the United losing in the final. Yes, yeah. That was a horrible final. I'm not gonna lie. That Europa final between Tottenham and United was god awful. Two teams that probably shouldn't have been in the final, yet somehow were in it. And 206, I'm gonna take that. Is that what you meant for the final? That's what I would agree with. Sun leaving Spurs. Chelsea won't get top four. I mean, they got top four this past season. I'm not sure why they can't get top four again. The fact that they've gotten better, they've brought in more players, they have better chemistry. The players that they currently have who are very young, they have the youngest team last year, going to have the youngest team again this year, have better chemistry. So they're winning the league. That's why I think that mid final, but the better team won. Oh yeah, yeah. Tottenham were definitely the better team. Had I'm not even sure. Like had United won that, I don't know how they could have even won that. Like the team was so bad. The only way would have been had Bruno Fernandes would have had a godlike game, scored multiple goals, multiple free kicks, and somehow they wouldn't have given up as many goals as they did. And granted, it was a 1-0 game, but still, that's the only way Bruno would have just done something ridiculous. Arsenal will finish second. I mean, that's pretty obvious if Arsenal finish second. All right, let's see here. Solanke, the mini chip. Yeah, I know. Cole Palmer, overrated. I mean, what's so overrated about Cole Palmer? You look at his stats the last 2 years. Again, I'm going to pull up his stats. I have my computer here while I'm streaming on YouTube as well. Cole Palmer stats. Let's see why people think he is overrated. So last year, 24-25 season, played 37 matches, 15 goals, 8 assists. So that is 23 GAs. Not bad. Season prior to that, played 33 matches, 22 goals, 11 assists. So 33. I'm not sure how that's overrated, but you know what? If you want to believe that he's overrated, I'm more than happy for you to think that. Arsenal better than Chelsea today. I did mention this earlier. So if we're looking one game at each other, if Chelsea are playing Arsenal, Arsenal's a better team. If we're looking at the longevity and what the future holds for both clubs, Chelsea's the better team. They've done so much better for the future wise that I think Chelsea are going to constantly get better and better. Whereas Arsenal, I think, are kind of right now very stagnant. And then I understand they bought in players, Zubamendi, Gyökeres, and again, they are a good team. I'm not trying to discredit that they're a bad team, but I think again, Chelsea are constantly getting better. They're winning stuff. That's a big asterisk that again you can put on anything because at the end of the day, if your club is never winning or lifting a trophy, are you considering it a good season? I think no. You have to win something to actually show your worth. So Arsenal really aren't doing that anymore. They've been really struggling. Liverpool won the league by Christmas. That would be remarkable. What are these takes? Holy. These are the best takes you will see tonight, OGI. If you don't watch any more lives, this will be the best one and also be the worst one. If anything, Arsenal getting better, they'll eventually replace Martinelli. I mean, they have to place Martinelli. And again, it's not like Martinelli's a terrible player, but if you look at the rest of Arsenal's squad, he is their weakest link for the most part. And I mean, you could say maybe, no, I would even say when their midfield was pretty good for the most part. Because even when they threw Kai Havertz into that area and where they put him up front, I would say it was also a weaker area. But it's definitely Martinelli was their weaker part. Jesus, these predictions stink. I know this guy stinks, but I'm glad you guys are here talking to me about it. London is blue. It was. I was just in London last week, and it was crazy how blue it was. I didn't see any red at all. It's remarkable. And did a Stamford tour as well. Didn't buy New Jersey. I wish I would have, but they were out of the Club World Cup badges. Oh, I couldn't think of the word badge, so I didn't buy one. So I'm watching pretty much the entire season as well. I'm going up to this one. Chelsea F history: 20 leagues, 6 European Cups. That's what we call history. I'm not sure if you're saying we don't have any history because we, I mean, have history, but that is what it is for the most part. We've done more in the last century, this last 25 years than most clubs have. So it is what it is. Ronaldo has lit up the gifts in there. I'm not sure what that means. Cope Alive. What's that? I'm not sure what that is either. So I'm just seeing something at the top. Raya for Golden Glove. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if David Raya wins Golden Glove. I mean, he just won it last year with Matt Sells. They both had 13. So Arsenal obviously have a very good defensive back line. So it's not one of those things I wouldn't be too surprised. But like I said, it's one of those I want to assume that Allison wins it with the signings that they had. Chelsea are expecting to make an offer. Oh, Garnacho. Yeah. I think Garnacho is coming to Chelsea as well, which I know some people are indifferent to that, but I do think that could work out for them. I'm going to end this stream because that